Let's get right to it. Matt Steinmetz, Darryl the Guru Johnson. We're joined by assistant coach Ron Adams. And I'll start out this way, Coach. Your defense has been better the last two games. Is that attributable at all to Gary Payton II?
Did we play at home or on the road?
There you go.
Yeah, they were both at home, Coach.
No, our defense has been pretty solid at home. I thought we played with great energy the second half of in our last game, and I thought we played pretty solidly against Minnesota also. But people always ask, what happened at halftime, like in the last game? And, you know, we point out things at halftime. You look at clips and so on, but basically the guys came out and they were a lot hungrier the second half. So it's not always rocket science. It's a matter of effort, always on defense and technique also. But
let me ask you this, Coach, because it's been kind of the topic of conversation. That game against the Pelicans, just the build-in, the energy and emotion. Had you been around anything like that before?
I thought I've been around games like that before, yeah, quite a few of high intensity and a lot of noise, but I thought our crowd was about as good as it's been. The noise level at the end of the game was really something,
Yeah.
I thought. If you're talking about the crowd, I thought the intensity of the game
Draymond,
was
just
good.
everything. GP2, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys, we're gonna let Gary Payton II jump into this conversation. We're putting a mic on him. Seriously, are you guys good? You two guys got a good relationship?
We love each other.
Because
Some days he can hate me, but most of the days
because Gary,
cool.
I just asked Ron if the good defense the last two games had anything to do with you, and he said no.
Not at all. Not at all.
Not at all. He's messy, man.
I'm trying to get back in my groove, my rhythm, get me back. You know, coach and everybody trying to, ease me back into it. But, these guys have, a little vibe going on right now. They know what time it is in the year, and we know we got to clean up a lot of stuff and, prepare ourselves for the, next step and next, challenge.
Let me ask you this. Speaking of coming back, kind of walk us through that when you found out you were, man, because you were a fan favorite. You leave, you get paid, you deserved it, and then you find out you're coming back. Walk us through that.
10 minutes before the deadline was over, I talked with the GM over there, and, he said, I'm coming back over here. So I was just confused.
Right.
I was just as shocked as, as anybody else. So
you didn't see it coming?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. It was just, I was getting ready for practice, and the next thing I know, he said, I'm going back. So
wow.
I said, okay. I went back and packed up some things and, head back down.
One thing I'm interested in is last year, you were a key part of this team. You win a title. You go to Portland. It's clear that the Warriors got you back because the veterans, you can tell they trust you in some way. But you're coming back to a different team. So even though everybody knows you, half the team still doesn't, does it take some readjusting or reacquainting yourself with your teammates and what your role might be?
No, I think I just come back, continue to be myself. And when I get in there, I know some guys and I know I don't know some guys, but I've been watching enough where, I know what guys like to do, and everybody, coming off the bench is just an extra piece, to help with the puzzle. And I think I'm just gonna come back and be another piece of the puzzle to get everybody going. Got a guy like me and Dante, does the same thing and shoots a little bit better than I do, but we do the same thing defensive mindedly. So I'm very excited to when that time comes. Hopefully, it's in the playoffs where we're on the court for a good stints of minutes. So, we can go in there and really get accustomed to one each other and really feed off each other. So. It's younger bench than last year, so it's just a mental. I feel like it's a mental switch that we got to do with the young guys. But other than that, just come in and play your role. Do what you got to do for whatever minute it is, and come back out and let the court go back in and do what they do.
I love it, Coach. Let me ask you this, because you just mentioned the home and road splits. One is, the fans want to know, why is that? And do you expect once the playoffs start, because he was telling me about the real NBA, and Gary can speak to that, about once it's go time, maybe these guys know it'll be different. Do you expect that? Do you talk more? How do you try to remedy that?
Home and away, it's a tough one this year. I mean, if we had the answers, we'd figure it out by now. We just haven't performed well on the road. I think defense is always a key on the road, and your togetherness as a team. And we've struggled with both at times on the road, and I think that's hurt us. The playoffs, yes, are different. Everyone steps up. But as Gary said, we're stepping up with a different kind of bench than we had last year. And we're also probably stepping up without a key player. Who knows what Wiggins will do or if he will be back and so on. So I think the playoffs will be very exciting for us. I think it will be a great test for some of our newer and younger guys. But, yeah, the pressure is greater. The scrutiny is greater. Every player, and Gary will speak to this, understands that it's, would you say go time?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's go time. And, as the audience and the focus gets bigger and more intense, it brings the best out of any athlete. So,
I used to cover a guy named Mookie Blaylock who was unbelievably defensively, and he could strip guys. You're the same way, but you do it a little different. Like, when you're riding a guy, all right, what allows you to reach across without fouling? Because it's not easy to do. How do you have success? Like, what do you look for the ball coming out of his hand at the split second, or how do you get that done?
It's really mostly feel.
You know what I'm talking about.
I actually know you're trying to get me to give you my little secret here. But no, it's just I know certain guys that like to go, one way better than the other, and as the game goes on, you can just see, like I can see. That how they're calling the game now, guys on defense are afraid to, gamble more and, reach and whatnot. So there's more just playing solid, keep the guy in front of you.
Right.
And offensive players know that. So they tend to, be more lackadaisical and, just lazy, kind of not like lazy, but just lazy with the ball a little bit. So force them away. They are comfortable and, they don't expect guys to reach over because they're going to probably call it. So I literally take the risk, and if they call it, they call it. If they don't, they don't. So if I get my hand on it, I can. If not, there'll be another possession.
This is Matt Steinmetz and Darryl the Guru Johnson. We're at Chase Center with Gary Payton II and assistant coach Ron Adams.
Talk to us about Sunday and the ovation you got from the Chase Center when you got up to go in the game.
From Dub Nation, it was love. I've had a couple of those already. Came back once beginning of the season. They gave love, and especially when I came back in the threads, it was just love. I missed them, they missed me. It was basically like a what's up, welcome home. Yeah, love at home. So, it was just love both ways. And like I said, they're going to play a huge part, in this stretch. They've played a huge part in this whole season. As you can see in the road and home games, I think Dub Nation got a big part of that home, that home five villain. When we need stops, they be behind us, and we got to find a way to take them with us somehow, some way on the road, and create that same, environment and feel, when we need stops.
After that crazy game against New Orleans, your pops and Draymond, I wish I could hit one fly on the wall. How dope was it seeing them two talk?
Oh no, yeah. I'm sure they talk. They talk more than
right.
More than we see.
Yeah.
They talk more than we see. But my dad is always going, pass down, what he sees
right.
from the outside looking in, and Draymond being a great guy, coachable, and he listens to those guys that paved the way for him, including as me, like Draymond does, for me, and just goes down as a ladder. So, I love to see it.
I'm conducting a little test here. Don't take it personally.
Come on.
What's your guys' record?
38 and 30, 39 or 38 and 36.
Okay. Close.
Ron?
Do you know what?
Does Ron know?
We're in 6.
40-36, I believe.
40-37. 40-37.
We're in six. We're in six.
Okay, you're in six.
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
in six.
We had this big debate about
The play-in, all four play-in teams are like the same record or one. I think one.
Yesterday he was screaming, they don't know. Looney came in and passed it, and both of you know.
But Looney said he didn't start looking at the standings till you guys lost to Minnesota. Then you guys started.
If we win, it doesn't really matter to look at it because we do what we're supposed to do, so we just got to win games.
The only important thing is every game is important.
Yeah,
there it is.
Every game is big.
Exactly. You got San Antonio coming in here tomorrow. Tell you what I'm going to do for you, GP2. I'm going to give you some advice that my dad gave me. He was a high school coach. And he said, if you know you can strip a guy, wait till the fourth quarter to do it.
Exactly. I like that.
Is that a real thing?
You knew that.
That's what I'm saying. I was watching the whole game. I was watching the whole game. I said, okay, being a little loose with it. All right, I get in. I had Jordan pushing back to the middle.
Wow.
And JP had my back. That's all I care about.
But one thing that Gary does the whole game that sets up all of this is he's a very physical player. So if you notice, the first game he was back, which I thought he played very well. The second game he wasn't feeling real well. But if he's running down the court with someone, he's not running with them. He's into him.
Yeah, wow.
All the time. And he's already seen what he can get away with without fouling. And so as the game progresses, it seems like the officials get used to seeing that. And there's very few times, and it's one of the things he does brilliantly, but he's not in contact with his man. Even running down the court, he'll pick up at, 2/3 court. His man won't have the ball, but he's still bumping him on the way down the floor. And the other thing that is his genius, as it is with Draymond, is many players react to a play. He sees the play coming, and so he can act. And he's just getting back into playing mode. So his first game I thought was really good, but he's got to get back in the groove. He's just getting a feel of the game again, but the defensive stuff will never leave him.
With your expertise outside of the score, how soon do you know if the team has it defensively? Like when do you know, okay, it's going to be a good night, or it might not be our night defensively?
I just look at energy. Defense is such a five-man proposition. If you see that everyone's on the same page, but I'll have to say this year it's been deceptive because we've started off poorly in some games at home, and have been able to ramp it up and really play great defense down the stretch. Now, our first 5 years, we had such talent that we could mess around in a game a little bit, and then we could turn it up, and the fourth quarter was always ours, and the playoffs were always ours because we played that way the entire game. This team is different. Every team is different, but we have to bring it more consistently. But we have had times this year when I'm saying we're not really defending well. Second half, all of a sudden, come together, pick it up. No, we have to do that to win, and then we get it done.
What do you guys? The one thing that I've noticed is, whether it's you, Gary, or I guess Dante can do it, maybe Kuminga, you go ahead and try to pick up a guy full court. What do you hope to accomplish by doing that? Why do you why do you shadow a guy bringing the ball up if you're guarding a guy with the ball, or Kuminga does the same thing?
For me personally, it's just take the clock down, get them into our offense, with 12, 11, so they kind of got to ramp it up, and they don't get it in too freely, we maybe take away something, so they got to go to another route, or just another. Do
you try to push them to a certain side, and does that side change depending on what the coaches or the game plan is?
No, really, it's just me and you from until half court, and then after half court is either, depending on who it is, I got to back up, or I got to stay with them, or just feet on the 3-point lines. If we got a deep shooter, we got to stay with them. If we don't, we can back off a little bit and get back to our defense. But it's really just a true clock time up, and make them get into our offense a little bit quicker.
So we take calls, and fan is short for fanatic, but you guys are 40 and 37, and obviously that's not what you set out to do. But we'll have people say, you know what? Teams aren't afraid of the Warriors. Now you play, you're there. Is that a real thing? Would you even know how to gauge that? Teams aren't afraid of the Warriors.
It's
Ridiculous.
I'll see you in the playoffs.
Okay, and that's
we can figure it out in the playoffs. That's the only thing I can say. We figure it out in the playoffs. If you ain't there, I don't know what to tell you.
Are you healthy?
We're getting there.
Okay.
That's why we getting there. We got a couple weeks before it's time to go. Really, so.
There it is.
By the time that go time, I'll be ready. I got you.
Man. Well, we know you got to get going.
Yeah, I got you. No worries. I appreciate you having me.
Ron, gonna stick for a minute?
Yeah, Ron. Okay. You keep Ron.
Okay.
All right.
We'll keep Ron. That was Gary Payton II. We're at Chase Center, Matt Steinmetz, and Darryl the Guru Johnson. We're with assistant coach Ron Adams. You've got a great reputation in this business. There's no doubt about it. When you have a team that's not playing great defense, do you kind of take it personally?
Well, I always have taken it personally, but I'm kind of, an advisor to the defense now more than, directing it. And we have other guys doing that. And, you take it personal. The game is personal. I've always done that. My entire career, I take it personal when people aren't performing well, when I think they should be. That's just part of the game. Then your approach to it is what makes the difference, because everyone is different. But the nature of this game is you're trying to generate the greatest competitive, nature that you can out of each person in a positive way. I'm not talking negatively, but. And that's what defense is. And then there's technique involved. And so technique is, the thing about defense, people don't understand that if you're not practicing it, you're not practicing the right technique, it doesn't work as well. And it's like with the shooter, if you don't shoot every day. I mean, our guys just finished up, and, it's the end of the year, and we have, Steph or Clay or JP in particular. They're meticulous workers on their shot. Day after day after day. Well, defense works the same way. You got to work at it. Mm-hmm. So again, keeping that high standard of fundamental, sharpness, helping your guys understand that the key to it is these small aspects of play that get you over the top or not. So,
I mean all my questions, but I really mean this one. In regard to Draymond Green, is he the smartest player you've ever coached, and is there a close second?
I think that that's a really hard question, because I'd have to go back over a number of years.
Because he's not the biggest guy.
I've been around a lot of great players, over the years, a lot of MVPs and so on in the past too. So he's up there. I think defensively, I don't think anyone's been in.
Yeah, that's what I did, defensively.
His versatility has been off the charts. Now, the rules have changed. And I think he used to, and everyone his size used to be able to handle bigger players a little bit better. But now it's different, and there's not a lot of post play anyway. But if you're talking about being able to guard multiple positions, if you're talking about being able to sniff out what's coming, and he's, takes chances at times, but they're generally calculated, and we generally can cover up when he does those things. It's been a little bit different this year because, younger guys and some newer guys, and he's doing his thing, and they're not quite reading him, but we've gotten better in that regard. But yeah, I'd be hard pressed to find a name that is, has been a more versatile defender than Draymond Green.
Let me ask you this before we let you go. You said energy is the biggest part of defense, but there's also technique. Give me one thing Draymond does technique-wise that nobody would see if they're not looking for it, that he's great at.
Well, we had a play, I think, in last game fourth quarter, critical time. I think I'm not coming up with the person driving to the basket, but it was a good driver. Could have been Edwards. It could have been Edwards in the Minnesota game, but there was another player in this last game. So they're coming into him. Verticality in this league is big.
Right.
You got to jump straight up and so on. But Draymond at times will do it in a different manner, and he locks in his one hand to his tummy, and then he gets this one hand extended. And he's so quick in reading, and so he gets in decent position, so he's going up like this. And I think the officials leave him alone when there's contact or when he's slightly out of position, like in verticality, you like to be facing the guy, right, when you go up. But that's a little trick that he's learned over and over again. He employs it. It's clean, it's legal, and it's unlike what most players do in that situation. I'm not saying he doesn't get up with two hands and jump high up on verticality also at times. But that's one of many little tricks that he has. I think there's no one better than making up a distance to the ball on a closeout and actually making a player miss than Draymond over the years.
Yeah.
Because he comes out with a certain kind of ferociousness that you feel as he's coming at you. This is what all good defenders do. This is what Gary does too. This is why I was talking about him bodying all the time and being that warm body being right up against you. But people feel you when you're good defensively. It's crazy, but I've seen this for the last 54 years of being around basketball. It's just people feel you. I'm sure it's the same in football. I mean, too, but the more guys in football.
I used to tell my son in high school, put a body on him. He would never do it, but make him feel you. Yeah.
All right, Coach, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great day here today.
My pleasure.
Really appreciate you taking the time.
Good seeing you guys.
That's assistant coach.
I enjoy listening to you guys. You do a
right on.
No, we wouldn't.
I like your arguments especially. So.
It's all love. We're actually best friends.
I like this guy.
We're actually best friends.